Fala pessoal, tudo bem? Eliana aqui. Bom, hoje eu resolvi trazer um vídeo diferente aqui pro canal. Vou fazer aqui um react de mais um trailer gerado por IA. Eu já trouxe um antes aqui no canal, mas foi um trailer de O Silmarillion, gerado por IA. Mas agora eu quero ver com vocês um trailer que eu achei interessante, focado na Guerra da Ira de O Silmarillion. E aí eu pensei, poxa, não vou nem assistir, vou gravar um vídeo aqui e assistir com o pessoal, vai que eles gostam também. Eu quero saber o que vocês vão achar desse trailer de Guerra da Ira. Mas antes da gente seguir para esse react, eu quero te encorajar a cumprir as suas resoluções de ano novo. E eu tenho certeza que uma dessas resoluções deve ser perder uns quilinhos, entrar na academia, né? Então, se essa é uma das suas metas, deixa eu te dizer quem é que vai te ajudar a cumpri-la. A Insider, é claro. Com os kits Insider, você vai poder montar aquele look ideal para você ir para sua academia, malhar, correr ao ar livre, ou ainda fazer o seu treino HIIT em casa com muito conforto, em uma roupa leve e anti-odor. Eu confesso que eu tenho usado as minhas roupas Insider para fazer aqui os meus treinos HIIT em casa. Aliás, essa aqui é uma tech t-shirt que eu também adquiri lá no site da Insider. O cupom CINEJAM está on, então faz assim. Clica no meu link abaixo na descrição desse vídeo, escolhe um kit com as peças que você quer e precisa, o que sai mais barato do que você comprar cada peça separada, e no carrinho você já vai estar com 12% de desconto. Meu amigo, deixe a Insider ajudar você a cumprir ao menos uma de suas metas em 2025, beleza? Mas tem que ser com o meu cupom CINEJAM, ok? E assim você também estará ajudando o canal. Obrigada, Insider, pela parceria. Simbora assistir o trailer e vamos ver o que a gente consegue identificar aqui.
The roar of war filled the air. On the plains of Anpauglith, the last hope of the free peoples of Beleriand, elves.
Aqui já temos o meu querido Maedhros, né?
Men and dwarves clashed against the relentless shadow of Morgoth. But what drove this alliance to confront him? In those dark days, Maedhros, son of Feanor, felt a spark of new hope. The deeds of Beren and Luthien had proven that Morgoth was not invincible.
Aqui a gente tem uma tradução, eu coloquei na tradução automática do YouTube, não é uma tradução muito fiel, né? Tá falando Beren e Luthien, né? Falam Barão e Luthien, mas vocês conseguem entender.
Maedhros understood that only united could they defy the Dark Lord. Thus, the Union of Maedhros was born. An alliance forged from necessity and despair. The dark past of Feanor's sons cast a shadow over his plans. Nargothrond, wounded by Celegorm and Curufin's treachery, refused to march under their command. Only the brave Gwyndor defied his king's orders, leading a small company under Fingon's banner. In Doriath, King Thingol, angered by the demands of Feanor's sons, refused to surrender.
Os olhos desse Thingol aqui apareceu bem esquisito, né?
The Silmaril, Celegorm and Curufin swore vengeance, and Thingol fortified his borders.
Celegorm e Curufin, tá, pessoal?
Only Marblong and Beleg, with their king's blessing, journeyed north to join the battle. Yet Maedhros found strength among the Nargrim, the dwarves of Nogrod and Belagost, who forged weapons and came to his aid. From the west, Fingon rallied the Noldor and the men of Hador. In Brethil, men sharpened their axes, and in Gondolin, the hidden King Turgon looked silently to the horizon, knowing that the fate of all was at stake. Maedhros, consumed by the fire of vengeance, unleashed his forces before the plan was complete. The orcs were driven from the north, and Dorthonion was briefly liberated. But Morgoth, ever watchful, wove a web of treachery and spies among his enemies, placing agents to track every move of Feanor's sons.
We have gathered all our strength, from the east and west, we will advance upon Anfal.
No caso, o Maedhros aqui, a gente percebe que o personagem sempre muda um pouco de feição, né? Nunca é o mesmo personagem.
Oglith, drawing out Morgoth's army. Fingon waits in Hithlum. When the enemy responds, we will strike upon them and trap them between the hammer and the anvil. The signal will be a light upon the hills of Dorthonion.
Engano, isso é um texto uma citação do próprio texto de Silmarillion, né?
On a summer morning, the trumpets of the Eldar greeted the sunrise. The banners of Feanor and Fingon flew in the east and west. Fingon observed his army hidden in the valleys of Ered Vethrin, Noldor, elves of the Falas, Gwyndor's company, and the brave men of Húrin, Hur, and Haldir of Brethil. Fingon looked toward Thangorodrim, where a dark cloud and black smoke rose. Morgoth had accepted the challenge. Though a shadow of doubt filled his heart, Fingon searched the horizon for Maedhros' advance, unaware that Uldor the Accursed had misled the march with lies and deceit.
Scouts report that Morgoth's forces are already on their way to attack us.
A cry traveled on the wind from the south, and elves and men raised their voices in wonder and joy. Turgon had unexpectedly emerged from Gondolin with an army of 10,000 souls, shining in armor and armed with long swords and spears. Hearing the great trumpet of his brother from afar, the shadow lifted from Fingon's heart.
The day has come, behold, people of the elves and fathers of men, the day has come.
The night has passed. Oh.
Morgoth, cunning and calculating, sent a concealed
Olha esse Morgoth. Tá legal o conceito, hein?
force toward Hithlum, trusting his traitors to halt Maedhros. Thus, his troops advanced unseen across the sands of Anfauglith. The Noldor, filled with fervor, longed to strike the enemy on the plain, but Húrin warned them.
Do not be deceived, we must wait, all of us.
Morgoth's captain
O Húrin bonitão, hein? Que Húrin bonito esse.
had a single mission: to draw Fingon out of the hills at any cost. He advanced to the waters of the Sirion, where the elves could see the gaze of their enemies, yet they stood firm. Morgoth's captain sent riders with a parley message, bringing Gelmir, son of Gwilyn of Nargothrond, who had been captured and blinded.
We have more like him. Hurry if you wish to save them, or they will meet the same fate.
Fate placed Gwyndor, Gelmir's brother, among the defenders. Consumed by rage, he mounted his horse in a fit of madness, followed by many riders. Together they slew the heralds and charged deep into the enemy's ranks. Seeing this, the Noldor were filled with fury. Fingon donned his white helm, sounded the trumpets, and the forces of Hithlum charged down from the hills. Their drawn swords shone like fire, and their assault was so fierce it nearly shattered Morgoth's plans. Before he could strengthen his forces, the army he had sent west.
Eles pegaram praticamente o capítulo, as partes principais, e montaram as cenas em si.
Was swept away in battle, and Fingon's banners passed through Anfauglith and were raised before the walls of Angband. Always at the forefront of battle were Gwyndor, and the elves of Nargothrond. And even now, they could not be restrained. They burst through the gates and slew the guards on the very stairs of Angband. Morgoth trembled on his deep throne when he heard the blows upon his doors. But they were trapped there, and all were slain, save for Gwyndor, who was captured alive, as Fingon could not come to his aid. Through many secret doors in Thangorodrim, Morgoth unleashed the bulk of his hidden forces, and Fingon was driven back from the walls with heavy losses. On the 4th day of the war, the Nirnaeth Arnoediad, the tears unnumbered, began a conflict of unspeakable sorrow. Fingon and his army retreated across the sands of Anfalglith, losing Haldir and the brave men of Brethil, who never returned to their forests. Surrounded by orcs on the 5th day, the hosts of Hithlum held out until dawn, relentlessly harassed. With the arrival of morning, Turgon's trumpets brought hope. From the south, the main army of Gondolin, which had been guarding the pass of Sirion, advanced with restrained might, ready to change the course of the battle. Then, the king's guard charged into the ranks of orcs, and Turgon, wielding his sword, carved a path to his brother Fingon.
Brother, today we shall not fall. I'm glad to see you.
Amidst the chaos, Turgon met Hurin at Fingon's side, a moment of hope in the darkness. The elves' hearts were reignited, and for a fleeting moment...
Uma cena interessante vai ser a luta do Húrin, quando ele, coitado, sobra sozinho e vai ficar num montinho ali, vai vir um enxame de orcs contra ele. Essa cena no livro é bem interessante.
Victory seemed within reach. At the 3rd hour of the morning, the sound of Mardros's trumpets echoed from the east. With him came the banners of the sons of Feanor, striking with ferocity into the enemy's rear. The assault was devastating, and the orcs, caught by surprise, faltered. Some even began to flee, as though the shadow of Morgoth could no longer withstand the combined strength of the Eldar. But Morgoth, in his cunning, had held back his ultimate weapon. From the depths of Angband, he emptied his dark halls and unleashed his full might. Ferocious wolves and riders on wargs emerged from the shadows, followed by the fire and fury of Balrogs. The forces of darkness spread across the plains, their numbers unending, their savagery unmatched.
Release the beast.
Deep in Angband, Glaurung, the father of dragons, stirred, his golden scales glinting as his roar shook the earth.
Essa foi a parte 1, tem a parte 2. Mas eu não irei reagir hoje. Se vocês gostarem desse vídeo, eu posso reagir à segunda parte, ok? Bom, eu gostei do trailer. Eles pegaram ali o texto de O Silmarillion e pegaram algumas partes principais e foram adaptando, montando as cenas em cima. Ficou legal, né? Ficou fiel, digamos assim. Bom, me digam vocês aí nos comentários o que vocês acharam e se vocês querem que eu reaja a mais alguma coisa aqui no canal, beleza? Eu tenho alguns outros vídeos em mente aí que eu pretendo fazer uns reacts, mas eu vou fazê-los na medida do possível, assim que eu arranjar um tempinho, porque fazer um vídeo gravado assim, comigo aparecendo, dá um pouquinho mais de trabalho do que fazer ele só narrado, que é basicamente o que eu faço aqui no canal. Mas enfim. Se você tiver gostado do vídeo, por favor, deixe seu like, se inscreva se não for inscrito e a gente se vê na próxima. Um grande abraço e valeu!